Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Life is a Video Game podcast. Hello, I'm Jack Simmons, obviously, and in this podcast it's more of a sort of a freelancey, dancey aroundy, chat about shit kind of thing, okay? So, we're going to be investigating all manner of fun subjects, all related to the simulation theory and life being a video game. I'm going to be answering your questions, reading some articles and finding out what we can do to hack the bloody Matrix. Because that's why you're listening, innit? Right, first and foremost, hello and welcome. You've been watching my channel for a while, probably, and you like the style of videos that I make. Well, this is different. It's long form. It's going to be about an hour, and we're going to be talking about stuff to do with the simulation theory. Like, is life a video game? Are we in a virtual reality simulation from people from the future? Are we an ancestor simulation? It's not going to be as cut and dry as my usual videos because I'm going to be, faffing about, tripping over my words. You should see some of the outtakes from the videos that I make usually. I'm fluffing, like talking like I've got plums in my mouth. It's ridiculous. But I cut all of that out to make it more entertaining and interesting for you. So you're going to be seeing me in a new light, i.e. talking like I've got plums in my mouth, because that is real life. Okay? So with that out of the way, this first podcast, right, it's not about anything specific. It's a jumble of bits, like a car boot sale. We've got stuff about NPCs, stuff about VR, stuff about, general simulation theory stuff, like a kebab. It's all sorts of general meats in one. Next time, for like future podcasts, even though this isn't really a podcast, more of a vodcast, I'd say. It's going to be about a specific thing, like a specific thing. So yeah. Anyway, first and foremost, I want to talk about my most recent video, which was about, let me just have a look, because I've bloody forgotten. Oh yeah, life being a video game, strategy video game. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've put up about 4 different bloody thumbnails. I can't decide which one was right because I didn't have time to make a proper good thumbnail because I had to go and see family on Sunday. So I had to schedule the video and I couldn't make a good thumbnail, and I've been faffing about trying to change it because I think it's a bloody good video. Actually, the strategy video game one, it's got some good advice in it, but the thumbnail is letting it down. It's not getting enough bloody clicks. Not that I'm, that bothered, but it's nice for people to see your work, But anyway, I wanted to talk about. I made a video a week ago, 2 weeks ago, about NPCs. Now the concept of NPCs is really interesting, right? It's kind of like, are there non-playable characters in our real world that we're interacting with? And at first, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of like, nah, bullshit, no way. There's no way that there's people in this world that are non-playable, right? They just go around following a set script and not existing consciously as a real player, not making choices or having free will. Now, that was a kind of an alien, foreign concept to me, but I kind of read up about it, watched a few more YouTube videos, and kind of made me open my eyes a little bit more to it as a concept. So I made another video about it because I get a lot of comments, really cool comments. Really, some of them are really long and bend your mind. And I think it was Steve, you sent me a comment, mate, and you said, about the NPC, so I thought I'd make a video about it. Which is pretty cool that I can do that, make a video out of people's comments, right? So send your comments to me under this podcast, and I might make a video out of your question or comment. Yeah, it did really get me thinking, that NPC thing. Like, and I was thinking, what percentage of the world, if there are NPCs, are NPCs? What percentage is it? Like, is it like 1% of us are real players and the rest are NPCs? So that's why when we, people like you and me, we have like more open minds to bigger concepts. Perhaps NPCs, because they're AI, they literally don't have the capacity to think beyond their script, whereas we do, because we're conscious players being played in base reality, or someone playing through us. And it struck me the other day after I was researching it, when I was walking through the park, I looked at somebody and I thought, they look like a real player. I could just tell there was a certain light behind the eyes. I could tell that they were thinking deeply about something, and I could tell that this is a real player. And then I think I was in the shop, as in Tesco's, buying some stuff, and there was a cashier guy, and he looked about mid-30s. And after everything I'd learnt about NPCs, I looked at him and I thought, Christ, you're an NPC. There was nothing behind the eyes. I could tell it was hardly any thought going on. It was just looked like an empty vessel. But maybe there's confirmation bias after everything I've just looked at. And I also think when you find someone else who is a real player, there's more of a connection there. You get a vibe from them. Like, when you get talking to somebody who you think is also a real player, there's something else there. There's a spark, there's a connection, there's a boom, 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 boom. You've got that extra little thing. It's like two real players coming together. It works. Whereas, I think I've had ex-girlfriends before who were definitely NPCs. And, they just seem to follow a script with their life. It's like, just seem to follow a script. And I can't prove that vibe or explain it. It's just a gut feeling. Maybe I'm mad. Maybe I'm the mad one. Or maybe I'm the NPC. How do we even know? I can't cut myself open and see if there's a load of wires inside, can I? Because probably NPCs are made out of blood and guts, just the same as everyone else. But are they inhabited with a soul or a spirit or a player? That's the question. I actually really struggled to get that video out in time as well. I remember really panicking. It got to about Sunday afternoon, because I released them every Sunday, and I was like, oh my God, come on, edit! And I had to really get it out quickly. I do struggle getting the videos out in time, I'm not going to lie to you. They take a lot of flipping editing. I don't know why I decided, because I can't go back on it now, can I? I've started editing them like that. I can't start going back, making them, just plain. So yeah, that was NPCs. I think I'm more open to the idea now of there being some kind of AI NPC characters in the world. I think, but I don't know. Still not sure. I'm just looking through my notes here because I've got stuff to talk about, and I'm going to get to your comments very shortly. So stick around for that, because I've got an absolute belter of a comment coming up that's going to absolutely blow your mind. Okay, stick around for that. So, I played VR the other day. When was it? Last week I bought an Oculus Quest 2. And I kind of thought, I'll buy one, be good for the thumbnails. Haven't got around to taking any pictures yet, admittedly, because I'm lazy. Pardon me. But, yes, I've got an Oculus Quest. And I thought, well, I've bought it now, I might as well play it. As you do. So I thought, all right, fine, put it on, set it all up. And then the intro to the Oculus Quest, like the tutorial, it started loading up around me. Now, the world started building, like a thing came down like this around me, and I was like, "Jeez!" Made me jump, right? Because it was that like immersive. Then I found myself in this kind of factory place, like a sort of laser quest thing with bars and thing. And as the world built around me, I kind of started laughing because I was like awestruck with how amazing it was, because it was literally incredible as the world built around me. I could see things in the distance, and the sun and the moon and this platform that I was standing on, and it was trippy because it fools your senses into thinking you're there. Like, you know, you can do this thing where you walk the plank and you get scared because your senses are fooled. And it really got me thinking about it, you know, because it gives you these little things to play with, like a table tennis bat. Okay, it's not, the physics aren't quite there yet, and it is still quite pixelated, but it still fools you. It still fools your senses. I was fooled. I was laughing like a little 5-year-old girl, you know. I couldn't believe I was inside this game. And it got me thinking, you know, that this is what, the second iteration of an Oculus. And, you know, it's kind of made to be as cheap as possible, really. It's kind of a loss leader for Facebook to get you into their multiverse world. And it kind of made me think, Christ, if this is the second version, think of what the Oculus 10 is going to be like. It's going to be completely flipping immersive, right? It's going to be completely, fills your entire field of view. It's going to be like retina accuracy graphics, like no pixels. It's going to be, there won't be any motion sickness, because that's one thing, that's one problem I had. I was playing Pistol Whip, right? This is this game where you just gotta, it's like inside an arcade game. These like enemies appear and you got to shoot them, and you got to dodge the bullets like that, and you really have to dodge them, otherwise they hit you. And which is a problem, because if you haven't set up your boundary properly, you go flying into the furniture, which I did at one point. I fell onto my sofa, luckily, which is soft. But yeah, and it's really bloody good. Like, you really do feel like John Wick or something, where you just bang, 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 dodge, dodge, bang, 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 duck, dive in, you know, shooting enemies. It's great. It really is great. But it mashed my head up. It really mashed my head up. I went to bed that night and I was still moving. You know when you go on a trampoline and you still feel like you're on the trampoline? I went to bed that night and it was like I was still in the game. I was still moving along the conveyor belt. It was weird, it was trippy, and I couldn't sleep, and I had to sit up in bed for ages, for about an hour. And I thought, oh, I couldn't play it after that, because it made me feel slightly nauseous. So, you know, I think the simulation that we're in now, which is a VR video game, I think they've ironed out all of those kinks, motion sickness and stuff like that, because, well, actually, maybe not. Maybe that's why we get dizzy and feel nauseous sometimes. Who knows? Maybe they haven't ironed out those kinks yet. But I think they probably have in base reality, because I wouldn't play Pistol Whip for any longer than 20 minutes. Otherwise, I'm terrified I'm going to feel nauseous. So, yeah. But it just really got me thinking that, yeah, this life that we're living now is a virtual reality video game. So the player playing as you is in base reality with a massive headset on, or not, might not be a headset, might just be a little thing that you plug into your temple, or that's connected to your brain via wires like Elon Musk's neural net. And then, you know, you want to run a simulation to check something out, maybe, to inform your own life. I've got to calm down, I'm getting too into it. And so I forget to breathe sometimes. I get excited. And yeah, so you want to run a quick simulation, and you got this neural net in your brain already. So you go, right, I wonder what it's like to, I don't know, be a YouTuber and talk about the simulation. And so you'll have a lifetime as me, right? And then you'll zap back, and it'll be 10 seconds to your real self, your real player in base reality, the level above this one. But it's a lifetime to you, the human, you. But you've learnt something by running that simulation. You see? Maybe that's it. I know we want to attach way more meaning to our lives, but maybe we are just a really simple and quick simulation video game meant to teach somebody something. And that's why we have no idea why we're here. We're still trying to figure it out. Humans have been on the planet for what, 10, I don't know. The Bible says 5,000. People say 10,000, could be 100,000, I don't know, could be millions. I've got no idea. Could be flipping billions. I've got no clue. And we're still trying to figure the flipping thing out. We've written books, and I think every single human being on the planet is, in their own way, trying to figure out what life's actually about. And we still have no idea. So, I suppose it means life means different things to different people. And you know, sometimes you just got to sit back and go, I don't fucking know. Crack open a beer, get a pizza, watch a bloody box set, or if you're me, sit down and watch a football match. Drink some beers, have a fucking good time. Chill out, relax, have a great night, you know? That's all you can do. If I sit there pondering the existence, or my existence in the world for any longer, you know, for very long, my heart starts going funny. Not in a bad way, I have set times where I need to think about it and consolidate my ideas into a YouTube video. If I start thinking about it of my own accord late at night, I'll start panicking and having mini anxiety attacks or something. So I don't really want to put myself through that. Selfishly, I know. But it's the same with drugs, you know. I've taken stuff before, and people keep saying to me, oh, try DMT. And it's like, yeah, I do want to. But then I read up about it, and it says, oh, you've got to be psychologically sound of mind. And I think, am I psychologically sound of mind? I don't think I am. Because when I went to Amsterdam, we did these truffles. Yeah, you know, those little things. And we were like, right, we're going to do truffles. This was like 6 or 7 years ago. And we were staying on a boat. And I got seasick on the ferry coming over. And I was like, oh, I feel sick. Oh, it was rubbish. And then we had to get in a car because we were driving. And I sat in the back and I started getting motion sickness from the car, which I've never had before, so I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was the continuation of the seasickness. So I was like, okay. So we get to this digs we're staying at, and it was a boat. And we were staying in bunk beds in this tiny cabin. It's about, I don't know, you couldn't swing a cat. You couldn't swing a mouse, let alone a cat. It was tiny, right? And anyway, we went into Amsterdam and we bought these little truffles. They're psychedelic truffles. So we were like, okay, let's do these on the top of the boat. Of course, I'm getting seasick anyway, right? So I'm worried about that. So we started playing Scrabble. Don't know why. Just sat there playing Scrabble with crisps and psychedelic truffles. Think the shit you do when you're young. Unbelievable. So we get this little handful of these little black truffly things, right? And they look horrible, right? And then I think, well, they'll be alright. We go, right, 3, 2, 1, and we put them in our mouth, we start chewing. Now, when I say they were disgusting, that's a complete disservice. I'd go so far as to say, by far and away, they are still the most disgusting things I've ever put in my mouth. Scout's honour on that one. They were repulsive. We were all, well, I certainly was, and they were like, swallow it, swallow it, swallow it, don't spit it out. They cost a lot of money, don't spit it out. So I was like, ugh, give me a crisp. Trying to get the flavour out of the mouth. Oh my Christ, they were disgusting. Right. Anyway, so we'd eaten them, right, and the bloke at the shop said, wait 45 minutes before it kicks in. So we were like, all right, just playing Scrabble. Don't know who won. And suddenly I'm sitting there, and it's a nice day. We're on top of the boat. The sun's shining. We've got a nice view across Amsterdam harbour, port, whatever it is, wherever the boat is. Lovely view, nice day. And suddenly, when you get this wave of like, what the fuck? This anxiety wave ripples through you from down here, from your lower stomach. And you go, oh, what was that? And then you're worrying now. Now you're going, oh my God, something's happening. And I started feeling strange as this, how can I describe it? This kind of thing came over my mind. It felt like it was trying to take over my mind. And I don't want my mind taking over, because I like my mind how it is. I'm in control of my mind. I know what I like what I know. Call me a little Englander, doesn't like going out of his comfort zone. Even though I do go out of my comfort zone, but in things I can control. I started feeling weird, and I thought, I can't trip the other guys out, so I'll be nice. And I'll go down to my cabin, and I'll just sit on the bed for a bit on my own. Bad idea. Walking along this long hallway to get to the cabin, and the walls, with every step, all of the walls went boof, 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 boof. It must have took me about 10 minutes to get to the room, because it was like, with every flipping step. Anyway, sat on the bed. Actually, I think I went to the toilet first and sat on the toilet, just on top of it, not with my pants down. So don't be thinking about that. Just sat on the toilet, just head in hand, just like, oh. And I knew as well it was going to last 6 to 10 hours. So I was thinking, oh Christ, up to 10 hours of this? Are you joking? So anyway, I went and sat on the bed. I thought, I'll just shut my eyes, it'll be fine. Every time I shut my eyes, there was a marching band of Mexican Aztecs. I don't even know what they were before, but they were marching at me every time I closed my eyes. So I closed my eyes and it went, oh, Christ! I'd be like, oh no, I've got to try and sleep with my eyes open like this. Ooh. If I shut my eyes, I could have marching bloody Mexican Aztecs coming at me. So, yeah, terrifying. Went back on top of the boat, and there were these flags all the way around the boat for, to welcome foreign travellers. Sort of, Danish flags and American flags and all that sort of stuff. And in my peripherals, so I'm sat on top of the boat now like this. In my peripherals, the flags were sort of waving, and then all of a sudden they would go, woo, right in my face like this, right? And I'd be like, oh, the hell? Look at it, and it's just, what? Just floating normally. Flying in the wind, just normally. And then I'd look back, and in my peripherals again, it would go, woo, and anyway, so then my friends came, and they came back with a joint, right? It's meant to calm you down. Not that I was, they were fine. They were loving it, right? And we smoked this joint and I felt better. So it must have sorted me out. But anyway, that's the long and short of why I don't really like doing psychedelics, because for whatever reason, I don't think I'm psychologically sound of mind enough to deal with it. But yeah, I know my dad said he used to do a lot of magic mushrooms, and then one of his friends got monged out by it, so that puts me off. Monged out, you know what I mean by monged out? Like just completely sort of not killed him, just sort of turned him into a bit of a NPC. Just zombie, vegetable, if you want. You know what I mean. So yeah, that puts me off. Mind you, people say DMT's different, and if you take DMT, which I'd regard as a kind of Easter egg in this video game, because it allows you to actually, well, apparently, this is what people tell me, see the walls of the simulation. So you can kind of, it opens your perspective or opens your mind's eye to be able to see the video game for what it is, a video game. And that kind of perspective is really needed, I think, because most people are living their lives and they're so serious. Everything's so serious, serious, serious. I just want to say, chill out, man. Go in front of me if you really need to buy that bottle of milk urgently. Don't get all uppity about it. Oh, God, just go ahead then. Some people are mental, aren't they? I just need to take a chill pill or, relax. Everything is going to be all right. So, yeah. Anyway, let's answer some questions. First question comes from Yakitori Boy. Don't know what that means. His question is, or her question, this person's question is, do you think base reality is in the distant future and we are all playing a character in a simulated world? Or are we God, the universe, purposefully forgetting who we are and playing every playable character to experience the simulated universe? Great question. That really is a very good question. To answer it simply, both. I mean, why can't they both be true? I think we could be in a simulation that is running from the distant future. Probably not that far into the future either. Maybe 150 years or so is probably my best guess at current technological rates that we're going at. But probably not even that far. Maybe it could be as little as 50 years, but as far as a couple of 100 years. Because you've got to think about, the singularity, which they've estimated is going to be around 2045. What's the year now? 2021? So that's, maths. 24 years away from the singularity. Now, the singularity, if you don't know, is where AI, artificial intelligence, reaches such a stage that it can start improving itself. Now, when AI starts improving itself, it will start becoming exponentially quicker at improving itself, at which rate it will vastly outstrip anything that we can ever do, because we're bound by sort of material things, being in meat bodies. But AI can work 24/7 and it can improve itself to get quicker. So if it improves itself to get quicker and quicker and quicker, it can just do things in a split second. And that's great for us, because unless it kills us, that is. If we can make it so it's compassionate towards us, fantastic. Because then, you see, we'll if it can give us the answer, not just any old answer, the answer to things. So we say to it things like, how can we clean up all the plastic in the ocean? And it says, do this. And we go, bloody hell, never thought about that, right? And it just does it, and it knows how to do it. It comes up with an invention to like a giant magnet that just sucks all the plastic out the ocean in one fell swoop, great into one big great container that shoves it down into a little pellet. I don't know, something like that, right? And we say, what do we do about overpopulation? And it goes, do this, you know. And we go, bloody hell, never thought about that, because our tiny brains can only compute a certain amount of information. AI, once it's reached the singularity, will be infinitely more intelligent than us. It will be able to. It will probably usher in some kind of utopia, and then once all the problems in the world are solved, people are going to be pissed off. You know why? Because people need problems. People need purpose. People need to give their life meaning. And once you rid the world of all the problems and you've got this kind of utopia where nobody needs to work, nobody has any problems because you're fed, clothed, housed, everything for free in this utopian society, there's nothing to bloody do. What do you do all day? Paint and draw and... But not everyone likes art. Not everyone likes music. People like problems. So it's tricky, isn't it? What will you do? My answer is they will go into another simulation where life is shit, where there's loads of problems, because that's more interesting. It's like the same reason that you play Grand Theft Auto. I guarantee, you have played it at some point in your life. You go into that video game to play as a character, to experience things that you can't really experience in this life. I mean, you could go and hijack a car and, drive it round and go mental and run people over, but I don't think you will have your freedom for very long. See what I mean? But yeah, I think also when you die and wake up in the distant future, you will see it's like a utopian world and it's really boring and whatnot. And then you live for a while in that world, in the utopian world, when you wake up. So you die in this world, right? You wake up in a utopian world, you take off the headset or whatever it is, you take off the little temple thing like in Black Mirror, and you go, oh, that was good. Oh, me again. And then you'll live in that meat body for a bit. And then say, you can live to like 500 in that utopian world. So you live to 500 and then you go, right, I want to die now. And then you die and then you wake up in another bloody simulation, probably. And on and on and on it goes, simulation inside simulation, until you get to what we would call God, the main bit of intelligence that is playing as you. And it just goes on and on and on like that. And also, that's quite liberating, because this world's pretty grim, right? And people get upset. They're like, oh, this world's horrible, it's grim, it's nasty. And it is. But you came here for a reason. I don't think anyone's here by accident, And just think of that as a liberating kind of thing to think. That some part of you chose to come here as you. And when you die, we are going to go to a better place. Thank Christ. Hopefully, anyway. Well, there's two choices, right? When you die, you either become worm's meat and you're nothing, and you cease to exist, or you go to a better place that was running a simulation of you. Either of those two things are not worrying, are they? Neither of those are a problem to me. And I think there's simulation inside simulation, or video game inside video game, until at some point you wake up and you are God. And you realise that it was all a game. Every single bit of it. Every single simulation, every single video game. It was all a game. The entire thing. Because if you are God and it likes to run simulations, then it stands to reason that we would like to run simulations, because we are God. See? And when I say God, I don't mean God in the religious sense. I mean God as in the infinite awareness. God is a thing that knows it's a thing, experiencing the world as a thing, just like us. We are a thing experiencing the world, and we know we're a thing experiencing the world. So it's some kind of intelligence at the centre of the universe. No. God, how do you explain God? Fuck knows. Yeah, so, and whatever we create in our image as avatars, like say we invent a video game and we invent little people to go inside the video game, they look like us. And in the same way, like it says in the Bible, God created us in his image, probably look a little bit like him. Or God could mean the people in the simulation above this one, and we look a bit like them, and they created us. Maybe we're a more polished version or a more unpolished version. Who knows? It's interesting though, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of, that's my whole hypothesis about this life, is that what we call God really is just an infinite source of awareness, as in it's aware of itself as a thing and is intelligent, like us, or some of us anyway. I can't prove it though, that's why it's a hypothesis. But it's a bloody great question, thank you. Next question is from Eric21. Also, shout out to you, Eric, because I nicked one of your comments and put it in one of my latest videos. So thanks, mate. Okay, I've got some questions for your podcast and I'll answer them as well. Oh, thanks very much. Number one, how old were you when you thought life wasn't what it appears to be? Personally, I was 8. Okay, I think I was about 16 when I started to realise this is all not what it seems. I started reading lots of books, without being told to, like you do in school. And they're like, read this book, read that book, fuck off. No, I just started reading all these random books about weird shit, and it just opened my mind to lots of different things. And, started reading in internet forums, and writing in internet forums, conspiracy theories, aliens, all of that sort of stuff. And plums in my mouth again. And the simulation theory wasn't really known back then. It wasn't really a thing. But I remember thinking about it. I even think I wrote a forum post in Above Top Secret when I was about 16. And it was along the lines of, you are God. So I think that theory has always been inside me somehow. I've always kind of known, but never had the vocabulary or the intelligence to verbalise it until, mid-20s. I suppose it's kind of like Neo searching for the Matrix without knowing what it was. I suppose that's how most of you feel as well if you're watching this. Question number 2 from Eric. What made you come to the conclusion? For me, it was meditating or zoning out. I don't really meditate very much. I do go for long walks, though, which I find are similar to meditation. And walking makes me feel better about life. And, when I am out walking, I think about lots of stuff. Admittedly, real life gets in the way, so that takes over a large part of thinking about life, but I definitely start pondering things, and things just pop into my brain, and I go, what about this? And then I write it down, and I research it, and then I make a video about it. Number 3, were you born with any abnormalities? Do you have something, I can't read that, preacular pit? I had a hearing condition, ADD, speech impairment, and a pit. Don't know what a pit is. I think I have a birth defect, yeah. You're supposed to have 33 vertebrae in your spine, but I went to a chiropractor a few months ago and he said I've only got 32 vertebrae. So that's probably why I'm short. I'm not that short, I'm like 5'7", but, that probably doesn't help. Number 4, isn't it more likely that we're just bits on a game, as in this is our only experience, than for us to have entered a simulation from base reality? I, for one, don't like the idea of being a self-aware NPC, so I go with the other scenario, but I'm curious how you rule this out, since it would seem less likely to me. Alright, I've got to try and get around that question somehow. In a way, we do exist as us, and then vanish into nothing, don't we? Our bodies do anyway. The human you. But I think we probably exist as more than just the human bit. It's like they say in the Bible, you know, mind, body and spirit, or the Holy Trinity is, oh God, what is it? Body, spirit and ghost or something. Same as the Matrix. You got Trinity. Neo, the One, Trinity and Morpheus. That's what that's about. But yeah, no one likes to think they're an NPC. But the debate on that is not over yet. Number 5, do you find yourself very alone? You say, yep, 100%. Do I find myself very alone? Yeah, certainly do. It's tough out here. You know, it's not a pleasant video game all the time, is it? It's hard. It can feel quite lonely and perplexing a lot of the time. Every day's a bloody struggle sometimes, but I've developed systems to just, I don't know, just get on with it, I suppose. And that's why I think it's harder for people who are sort of awake, because it's hard to find other people who are awake that you like. I think we're not very good at dealing with other people because they are, a lot of people, it seems to me, are like NPCs. If they're not NPCs, then they're like NPCs in that they don't care about any of the stuff that I care about. And so I've got nothing in common with them. And so you need to find someone who's got the same interests as you. Yeah. Which can be hard. But yeah, can get a bit boring. Number 6, your question is, what are your precursors to believing this is a simulation? For me, it's gravity, lack of oxygen in space, Mandela effect, double slit, technology, nutty politics, NPCs, and a weird sense of it. Well, that's the whole point of this channel, is to build up a wall of evidence using a lot of those things that you've mentioned, looking at the simulation theory from every available angle to see if we can stress test it and, you know, prove it, basically. Or build up, like what a lawyer does, build up like a wall of evidence and then, you know, make sure that it can be questioned and tested, and then we can prove it. And then we'll be mother-fudging geniuses. 7. I don't want to answer that question because it's about the pandemic and I don't want to get banned straight away. That would be annoying. Question from Lee Needham. Cool name. Would you ever consider trying DMT to see the simulation framework and reality we live in? Already answered this. Yes, I would. But funny, innit? Do you reckon DMT says that on the packet? See the simulation. Be a good sales thing. Good way of marketing it. Take DMT to see through the walls of the simulation. Yeah, I think DMT is probably like a kind of Easter egg to this whole video game, I reckon. Apparently, as well, DMT is not addictive like other drugs, so that's good. I don't want to get addicted to some drugs, that would be awful. And also, it's produced in the body naturally. When you die, apparently, your body dumps a whole load of it in your bloodstream or whatever. So yeah, I would take it, and I'll make a video about what I see. That'll be a good video, won't it? Question from Eden Enterprise.1. I know since over 20 years that the Earth is flat. Look only at the date line. There are near islands with 24-hour difference. So my question, what's behind the edge? A wall or more water with land, or both, or what? Okay, so basically this is a flat earth question. You might be trolling me because, make me look silly, but no, the earth isn't flat. It's tricky to answer this because there's no real right answer. If it's a hologram, then technically every hologram is flat. A hologram is 2D until it appears 3D. Like in a video game, the mountains in the distance are 2-dimensional, but they appear 3-dimensional. They look 3D, but it's just an optical illusion. However, going around saying that the earth is flat is not a good thing to do for your street cred, let's just say. So we'll leave that one. And you say, what's behind the wall of the simulation? Fuck knows, probably Narnia or something. Who knows? Okay, question from... Oh, these aren't questions, these are comments on recent videos that I thought I would answer because they're really good comments. This comment is from The Germ. What if I'm also an NPC and I only can make non-NPC decisions when alone? Like when I'm with other NPCs, I'm just playing my predetermined role in the simulation. Flipping great question, and it boggled my mind. That's thought. Plums in my mouth again. That's why I thought I'd answer it. I've singled this one out to be featured because it's interesting that I was kind of thinking about this anyway. What if it's not as simple as NPCs and PCs, non-playable characters and playable characters? What if actually we're all players? Pardon me. But sometimes we kind of turn into NPCs to provide the other players with a bit of script that they need to go on to fulfill a certain quest, right? So sometimes you offer some advice to somebody with all good intentions, but you don't know where that advice really came from. You've never thought about it before, and it gave that player the motivation to go on and do something. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Because what if something was channeling through you to provide some script that you were kind of destined to provide? So you're kind of channeling some script to give to another player so that they can go on to follow their predetermined path. But then we get into the question of free will versus determinism. Like, were you always going to do the thing that you're going to do? And how then are we making choices? Or is it the illusion of making choices? So that's going to fry your brain, isn't it? Same as the Matrix. Were you going to break that vase or not? And it kind of bleeds into the idea that a lot of stuff we do is predetermined, potentially, and each of us has a role to play in some way, which is an annoying thought because I don't like the idea that I am not in control of my life, like Neo. Because, I'm a control freak, and when things don't go to plan, I freak out. Not always, but, I don't. I smashed my TV controller the other day, actually, the remote control, so I don't have a TV at the moment, because things weren't working out, and I thought I'd throw it at the wall, relieve some tension. That's just an example, And yes, even someone as godly and charismatic as me gets annoyed sometimes. What's really going to bake your noodle is, was it scripted that I smashed the remote control? Or was that my own choice? Question from Steve Scott. A comment, from Steve Scott. Here's another mind breaker for you. When you only play for one day maybe you only play for one day as you. Each day we go to sleep, it's game over. When you wake up, all your backstory is downloaded, so you feel like you, believe you're you, but are actually driven, but you're actually being driven by a noob every day. And yes, you'll remember going to bed last night because that memory was downloaded. It's a bit like Kirk in the transporter. He's killed each time he uses it and is reassembled identical as before. Only it's not OG, originally him, it's a copy him, or that poor bastard in that film Moon. Also check out Surrogates. Or worse, we're all NPCs, and the AI running the show is trying to understand why the humans it eradicated invented it in the first place. Cheers, Steve! Nice one, mate. Steve's original comment is what I used for the basis for the original video about NPCs. So well done, Steve. Right, let's get through this. I've never seen Star Trek because I'm not a virgin, but I get the idea. I've seen Moon, good film. Surrogates, let's check the synopsis for Surrogates. Surrogate film synopsis. In the near future, people live their lives free of pain, danger and complications through robotic representations of themselves called surrogates. When the first murder in more than a decade rocks the near-perfect society, FBI agent Greer, Bruce Willis, discovers a vast conspiracy and must abandon his own surrogates to solve the crime, risking his own life in the process. Ooh! Not a very good rating on IMDb. Probably won't watch it. Bit snobby of me, isn't it? But that sounds good, actually. That would make sense, actually, in the future. I reckon Mark Zuckerberg is already using a surrogate because he's an android-looking fucker, isn't he? Now, that final point you said, Steve, is scary as flip. What if we're just the recreation of a huge AI that wiped us all out because it's trying to now it's trying to understand what led the humans to invent the thing that would kill it? No, that would invent the thing that would kill them off. Something like that. AI is interesting once we reach the singularity, isn't it? We've already talked about that. And it's not sci-fi because it could actually happen and is being made, and it's happening. That's why Elon wants to invent something that links us to AI so that it can't kill us because, it's intertwined with it. Probably still will kill us. Because, why not, the bastard? Perhaps this simulation is to experience why humans in base reality kill themselves off with their own technology. Don't know. Now, another comment from British Soundboard Pranks, who says, plums again, hang on. Another mind bender right here. Going further into this theory, what if you're actually a playable character that other people control? You feel like your thoughts and choices are your own in this simulation, yet they're actually being made for you by the real player in base reality. Playable characters are like trading cards there, meaning the player for your character could change all the time, with your character being sold off or swapped or abandoned and put back on the shelf. Ever wonder why sometimes it feels like you're making all the right moves in life where everything is great? Then there's other times when you go on a roll of bad luck and make poor decisions. Maybe this is merely a result of different players, some who are good, some who are bad. For those who have the worst luck, like chronic illness and bad fortune, maybe your player is evil and is doing this to you on purpose. Creepy shit. Jack, sounds like a new video is in order. Yeah, I've got a list of about 200 videos I need to make, mate, so I'll add it to the list. Pardon me. This is something I've actually thought about myself. But this is great and a really interesting comment. So if you've got an interesting comment it and I might mention it in the next podcast. Now, the idea that different people are playing through you and your character in base reality, meaning we would be little more than avatars or empty shells ready to be played, like a character in a video game, which is a bloody weird thought. And it could lead to the idea that sometimes we are NPCs until somebody jumps in and starts playing us. And who are these players? Are they in this world or are they in base reality? So maybe we walk around doing the same shit we always do, and then someone steps into us and suddenly we have an epiphany. I'm going to go travelling. It's an interesting idea, isn't it? So when somebody enters you, they bring with them an idea of what they want you to do, and that changes your mind about something. Bit weird. But that isn't you, that's the player deciding and changing your fate. But of course the idea has to come from you. It can't really come from anywhere else. You have to be the one to make the decision. Decision. I can never say that flipping word. There's a bit here where you said, meaning the player for your character would... No, hang on. With your character being sold off, swapped or abandoned and put back on the shelf. That bit there makes me think of Toy Story, where you and I are basically toys being played, which is weird. I like that idea you have of trading cards, but like a futuristic version, obviously. It's like FIFA or something, where you get packs to open, and we're all in packs. Perhaps that's who run this whole simulation, EA, because it certainly does feel like it's pay to play. And if you get Elon Musk in your pack, basically you're rich because you can sell it off to the highest bidder, because that would be a great player to play as. I always wonder, about the poor and unfortunate players, the mentalists and the drug addicts and the chronically ill, because none of us would choose to be like that, yet so many people are, and it just makes me wonder how. Thanks very much for watching this Life is a Video Game podcast, episode 1. I really appreciate you sending in your questions and comments. Now, if you want me to mention you and read out a comment for the next episode, write it below this video and just put in capitals at the top question, or Q, and I'll get to it and I'll answer it for the next podcast episode. So, Alternatively, if you want to email me your question, you can do. All you need to do is email jacksimmonstv@gmail.com. I'm going to sign out. Thanks for listening, watching and commenting. Stay cool, motherfuckers.